What is up and welcome in. It is another back-to-back night of mocking After Dark from Fantasy and Frames crew and others, which is turning into a who's who of fantasy drafters. I'm starting to recognize some names and starting to get a little concerned with some of the competition. But at the same time, I am not getting disappointed that I get to welcome in a few of my favorite people to help us do a little bit of this Scott Fishbowl 13 edition of Mocking After Dark. Jorge Edwards, of course, is always in, vicinity of these mocks, albeit behind the scenes, on the scene. Gator J is on the mic as well as on the cam with us tonight. Drew, of course, is back with us. And thank God I get a refreshing, happy smile face of Stephanie Miller. Steph, this is an absolute pleasure. Not to take anything away from the rest of you idiots, but Steph and I haven't had a chance to really do too many of these together. And so let me just say, it is a pleasure listening to you do all the shows so far up into the season. You are quite a bit of fantasy knowledge and sunshine wrapped up in a pleasant smile. How are you?
Oh,
she looks confused. So I'm going to say she's doing great.
Sorry, my Siri thing popped up again. I don't know what is that thing's doing. I moved the hair out of my earbud here, something you boys probably don't ever have to worry about. It was tucked in, and Siri popped up, so I didn't hear anything you said for the last 5-10 seconds.
That sounds like what my wife would say to me too.
She's not used to hearing. My wife doesn't get compliments, so I don't know how to say it twice in a row. But let's just say that it's wrapping it up. It is an absolute pleasure to do this with you tonight, Stephanie. We get the pleasure of not only being on a pod together, but we get the pleasure of sniping each other throughout the draft. Hopefully, it is me getting the better of you. But if your savviness from the best ball drafts I've watched are any account, I am in for a very, very difficult time. How's everybody else doing? Gator, how you been, my man?
I'm good, brother. We just had just got to produce Stephanie and Stacy over on the Best Ball Show, which was phenomenal. Go check that out, please. That is over there on the YouTube channel. But other than that, man, I am ready to get this mock going. How about you?
I am always ready. For anybody that's watching, if you are on the Twitter sphere, please jump over to the YouTube page because there's chat before the draft even starts. There's shit talking. There's Katy Perry conversation. We got. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, let's be honest. They are dogging the shit out of me from my draft last night. They are killing me for my draft last night.
Your draft spoke for
so
itself.
I missed something apparently. What happened? What was the pick that they didn't approve of?
All of them?
All of them.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Every single one. It's like we're sniping Gator left and right. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I picked from the 101 last night, Stephanie, and it was rough. After the first pick, it was rough.
Yeah. So Gator and I.
Is that going to be your spot?
No. He's 4.
Okay. Okay. I really am the 3, so this should be fun.
Good. And I told my wife, Carrie, she is the 3 spot as well in hers. And so I said that I will pass along this draft as she can watch it. So how you do in this will dictate how my loving wife does. So there's no pressure on you, Steph. I'm just saying, I really don't like her finishing better than me. So if you can throw a couple of these picks, maybe go Gator J style, that would be very helpful.
Well, so, I didn't do the best last year because I kind of tend to be one of those people that does things very boldly, and it either goes really good or really bad. So she'll either win or come in last and no in between.
That's the way it should be. The in between is stupid. I know Ricky Bobby said if you're not first, you're last, which is not true at all. There's a second, there's a third, there's all kinds of different places, but we have a good group. I'm very excited. Gator's representing the 104s. I'm going to play sniper. You're representing Carrie. Drew at the other end is always going to be fun because me and him are in the same live draft in St. Louis. And Jorge at the 5 spot gets a little, I'd say, well, you get a little bit of action from Gator in front of you. Now, how that will turn out, we shall see. So if people aren't familiar with the Scott Fishbowl scoring, A little bit of differences this year from previous years. If you played, the biggest changes are the fact that there are no penalties for any negative plays. So we reward good. We don't penalize bad. It is no turnover penalties and no accuracy penalties. And then the extra point for the tight end for both first downs as well as receptions, as we learned. Travis Kelce is a proverbial cheat code, but we got to see how it's going to go. And I'm interested to see just what Greggles does at number 1. So Gator, without further ado, let's go ahead and click that start button. Drew, let me ask you a question. I know you're not drafting at 1, but if you had the 1 spot, let's say St. Louis draft gets crapped out and you're at the 1, are you going Kelce, or do you feel comfortable watching Gator absolutely botch it that you could not do any better? Gator, I'm kidding. It's the last one right there. I promise.
I think even after watching last night's show, I would still probably take Kelce at 101. But it's really difficult to pass up one of those top quarterbacks, though. So it would probably be a struggle for me down to the very last second whenever I made the pick. I don't really envy the people having to make the choice. Honestly, I'm almost relieved I don't have to make that decision.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same way. So, Steph, you're sitting at 3, and let's say the same situation comes to you, that you have a chance at Travis Kelce, and let's say that the entire first round and second round goes entirely quarterback chaos, and you're left without a quarterback that you're real fond of. How far are you in the Scott Fish Bowl? Are you comfortable waiting for a quarterback? I mean, are you just going to take one, or are you comfortable maybe saying that the no penalty thing might not be a bad play?
Well, for me, if Kelce falls to 3, I'm taking him because with this scoring, I just think that he will separate from other tight ends, from anybody else at a different rate than the quarterbacks will. So his way to score those points at that position is just going to give you such an advantage between tight end 1 and tight end 2 and everybody else. I think that you just can't make up that gap. Quarterbacks tend to score a lot closer within each other. I think these top guys, there's not going to be anywhere near that kind of gap. But I will take a quarterback usually the first round. Well, let's see. I am going to take Kelce.
I intentionally took Allen
as I'm on the clock. But
I will say I really probably normally, if I was at 2, I think I might take Kelce there. But I want to watch your build as it unfolds, and I want to see the 4 too.
So I will take an early quarterback, but I don't mind waiting on a second one. So you'll see me push it a little bit probably.
Yeah, the opportunity cost is obviously a lot better whenever you have a little bit of security in that quarterback 1, kind of like with Gator. Now this is where for Jorge, who's on the clock, so I won't direct it at him. Do we think that since this group right here, there's maybe 1 or 2 left that are, I'd say, the point per carry, Gator, do you think that the pocket passers will get pushed down just a little bit? Because like Stephanie was alluding to, that gap is relatively the same. There's not that much difference between QB, 4 and 9. I mean, like right here, Gator, this is where the first option comes up, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think you will see him get pushed a little bit, but I mean, are you going to take, look, Scott put the tweet out the other day that, prior to him saying what the actual scoring was going to be, that in his mind, the Allen was scoring 40.15 or 195, whatever it was on an average. And then somebody asked the question, what did Justin Jefferson score in that? And it was like 29 points, something along those lines. So you get these pocket passers like a Joe Burrow, a Herbert. What are those going to be? Because again, as soon as that came out, I was like, is there going to be points per carry? Are we getting rid of, it was just the little subtle little hints that he was putting out there. And so to long-winded, but to answer your question, yes, I do think that some of these pocket passers are going to get pushed down a little bit. But after what we saw last night, or at least where I was at last night with the 1, I don't know, to be honest, that I'm going to be able to comfortably at the 4 spot sit there and go, I'm not taking back-to-back quarterbacks, even with the boost to points per carry or the negative. I just don't know that I can, because there was just nothing there after like the third round.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes back to thinking you can wait a little bit too, and that's what none of us know. It's the unknown. Not every one of us enters, and we got a first time out in auto at the 1-9.
Well, no, we had an auto at 1-1 because Greg was too busy over here chatting with us in the chat on the stream. And
we told him to do,
which is fine. Is
what we told him to do, and then he wasn't able to make his pick. So
yeah. So recapping one so far, it's I would say somewhat chalky. I mean, as chalky as can be. It's gone Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Travis Kelce at the 1-3, and Patrick Mahomes, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, followed by Jamar Chase to Les. If you're listening, how you doing, man? Good to see you. T-Law at the 1-11, and now Drew to round out the 12. The nice thing about this back-to-back is that, Drew, let me ask you a question. I know you're on the clock. I don't want to ask you questions while you're on the clock, but I want a little breakdown as you're walking through, since no one's going to snipe anything that you're thinking here.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have a chance to kind of go through your process if that's okay.
Yeah. So there's 8 quarterbacks that I would look at if any of them make it here. I would take all 8 of them are gone now. So the next set of quarterbacks for me is a pretty decent tier to where I don't really want to reach for a quarterback as important as they are in this build. So then I'm looking at Mark Andrews, and I'm looking at a bunch of running backs. And I took Mark Andrews last night. So I'm going to try something, because this is a mock draft.
Yep.
And I want to try out different strategies. I'm going to try something a little bit different tonight.
I like that. So Drew goes, as they say, maybe robust running back, or in this case, maybe just the top 2 running backs available, Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. Jorge.
Yes, sir.
As far as your running back rankings in Scott Fishbowl, McCaffrey and Eckler, you're 1 and 2?
Yes.
Okay.
And honestly, I could make a point for Saquon jumping up there at a certain point also.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, Bijan was the number 3. Steph, is there any running backs that I know that you have a bit to go before your pick, but any of the running backs that you find in this format, the rush attempt heavy, that might be jumping into that top 3?
For me, it's probably CMC, Eckler, and Bijan as the top 3. I'm not as high on Saquon. I have a little bit of concerns in general. I'm also really big on Pollard and Chubb, but I don't know in the top 3. But there's a good tier of running backs that I really like. If I can get one of those as an anchor, I'm great. If not, then I'll, I'm tend to be a 0 RB drafter as well. So I have no problem waiting till later in the draft and making it up with volume as well. If I don't get somebody I really like, I'm not going to go out of my way to reach. And I think that's the big thing, is keeping your cool and seeing what the board gives you and what comes around.
Exactly. And Drew, going back to those 2 picks there, the third round reversal obviously gives you that ability to then, you said that patch of quarterbacks, most likely one of that tier will probably be available for you at that spot.
Right.
You talked about Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews fallen to the 2-5.
That's surprising.
It is. Yeah. And I can understand that when you have like at Chiefs fan and Les at 9 and 10, when they go receiver, they know the concern of having to wait to that third round to get that first quarterback. And at that point, are they willing to take Geno potentially? And I use that as an example because last night he lasted so long that it would have been, let's scoop him up or maybe wait. I don't think you can play that game, Gator. I mean, you kind of played that little game of quarterback Rochambeau last night, and it really was the proverbial kick in the nuts by waiting too long. And the only way you'll ever know is, number 1, clairvoyance. Does anybody have clairvoyance? Show of hands. No, nobody. Fuck. Damn it. I was hoping someone did. Or 2, just, looking back and going, what could have been. So that's the biggest issue with that strategy. And so Jorge is getting to your pick, and Gator and Steph and me. Obviously, we're all looking to not tell each other what we're doing here. So, I mean, Jorge, thank you for making it fast. Now I don't have to stammer along and bullshit my way through. Daniel Jones could very easily at season's end in this format be in the same conversation with Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. I have Joe Burrow a little higher than that, but I mean the rushing upside is just a tremendous advantage, correct?
Absolutely, and also the lack of negative points for interceptions, and we don't have to worry about completion percentage being a thing like we did last year. It's basically just give me all the positive attributes that Daniel Jones has, and for me that was a lock because of the rushing upside that you just talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Steph, Tua. I mean, the sky's the limit. Of course, we know that. Is there, when you have to take that first quarterback, knowing that you take Kelsey, did you kind of go for that elevated floor, knowing that, or the elevated ceiling, knowing that the floor, obviously with the injury risk, is a little greater, just for that, if you're not first, your last mentality?
A little bit, but if you actually look at the games that Tua played last year, he was on track to be, I think it was quarterback 7 in a lot of scoring. I mean, he could really be up there. If there's anybody, again, you want to find a guy that could be close to matching those guys. And then with the advantage you have from Kelsey at that tight end position, if he plays all 17 games, he could easily finish in the top 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks, I think.
There's no doubt.
And I mean, he's got a great offense too. So
that is exactly right. It is by far not a, that was not me knocking Tua as much as just the injury being, and the history of concussions obviously is probably the biggest red flag of any of the quarterbacks within the first 3 rounds up until now, because that's something that the NFL will definitely want to avoid, that that little kerfuffle there for sure. Drew, you got Geno. That wasn't because we were talking about him, was it?
Geno's my guy, man. I like Geno quite a bit this year. I just, I bought into the resurgence from last year, and then adding JS into that offense. I think even if his accuracy regresses a little bit, I still think he'll be very serviceable for fantasy. And him and Kirk Cousins were the end of another tier at quarterback there for me. So I wanted to make sure to get one of those 2 guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, so far, at the end of the first round, like we said, you took McCaffrey and Austin Eckler, followed by Bijan, and then another set of quarterbacks in Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott. As we said, Courtney took Mark Andrews, then another set of receivers there in Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill. Jorge doubled up at quarterback with Daniel Jones. Gator J took, following up his Patrick Mahomes pick with Stephon Diggs. Much better, much happier as of right now than you were last night, Gator?
Much.
Which ironically is that if you look at the scoring and the variance, his last night's totals at this point were much more in your favor than they are right now. But it's the build going forward that just, you feel better. You don't feel as icky, if that's the right word to say, that you do when you have Kelsey to start off in some builds.
No, I didn't feel bad after the first 3 rounds. It was that
4 through 18.
That 4 through 18 that just really just like sucked.
It gets rough. It really does. And after you took Diggs, as we said, Steph took Tua. I took Anthony Richardson. I'm planting my flag on him as far as this goes in this format. And
by the way,
hey, I did the numbers today using my place.
I'm the Gator.
Huh?
I'm the Gator. You remember that? I'm the Gator. Quit taking my guy.
You picked 2 picks before me. You know you could take him, right?
I'm sorry. What was that, Jorge?
Yeah.
Gator don't play no shit. You feel me? Gator never been about that. Never been about playing no shit.
Greatest movie of all time.
That makes me so happy every time I hear that.
Yeah,
every single time.
I think
I love the A-Rich, by the way. That I would have, if Tua was gone, A-Rich was. I wasn't sure where he'd go in this. This is my first mock. I was hoping to get him later, actually.
Here's something that's a little bit different from what we saw last night, at least from what I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more quarterbacks.
Yes.
In this first 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew last night with Kelsey and Pitts 1 and 3, but like tight ends flew off the board. We've only seen 2 fly off the board so far?
Yeah, I think that the tight ends in this grouping, this tier right here, as much as there's a separation over some of the other lesser wide receivers, I mean, that's the opportunity cost difference, is that the tight ends start becoming value when you start looking at versus the tight end 8 versus the wide receiver 30 is such a substantial gain, not necessarily over Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra, etc. Anthony Richardson, then going back to that as far as why and how and everything, I went in and looked at Mike Clay's projections for Anthony Richardson, and it's a 15-game projection. And I used the Scott Fishbowl setting, and I averaged, I took the first downs into account and looked at the lowest first down passing of any starter from last year, basically, and put him at 32 as far as the overall ranking. And as well as rushing, I put him in that same category as what Lamar Jackson had in 12 games. So I thought that was a fair, just even err on the side of caution. When I put the numbers in, he would have been the QB basically 12 or 13 last year overall. And there was some really, really big quarterback performances that I think we could replicate this year. But that rushing upside and the rushing first down really just helps build that stable. So like technically I have, as far as I'm concerned, I have 1 in 12. I have 2 top 12s picking out of the 2 spot, which can it be, will that happen in the actual draft time? I don't know. I think that there's a case to be made that he might be going before Daniel Jones. Don't know if that's warranted or not, but I think that's a possibility.
Well, I think we asked that question last night, didn't we? How far is A-Rich over the next week going to move up in Scott Fishbowl drafts?
Yeah. Yep. If dipshits like me quit drafting him so early, then maybe it won't happen. And unfortunately, Drew and I are in the same league, which phrase, poses a question, Drew. How much do you take into account our drafts together in these? Can I trust that what you're doing is the way you'll actually draft, or is there subterfuge? Is there a little bit of gamesmanship going on at all?
So you can trust that what I'm doing is what I think I should be doing.
Perfect. I trust you. Yeah,
but you should also be trusting that I'm paying very, very close attention to what you're doing.
Oh,
so I might have to change some what I do on the fly a little bit once we get there for the live draft. I know where I'm going to have to take Antonio Gibson if I want him. I'll put it that way.
I'm ready to see where he goes tonight. I'm excited because right now it's about the average of the 10th round is where he started, and it's
tonight.
It's got to be that close, because I mean, if Drew wants him, he has to take him at either the end of 8 or beginning of 9, if it comes to me. And now, as we're talking, it's going to, of course, change a little bit other numbers. But continue this recap here. After I took Richardson, Greg at the 1 went back to back with Saquon and Nick Chubb, which after a Jalen Hurts start is phenomenal running back room, of course, no doubt about that. And then I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said Chubb right after, because it goes back to the 3, which was you at Geno, and then Cousins. A.J. Brown last into the 3rd there for less with CeeDee Lamb. Give them 2 dynamic wide receiving cores in Jefferson Lamb and Chase A.J. Brown. Aaron Rodgers, Courtney gets a Sir QB2 to go with Joe Burrow. Jonathan Taylor goes. This pocket right here is phenomenal value, if you ask me, from 3, 6, 7, and 8 in JT, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs in this format. Amazing RB1s to start off in the 3rd round for Adam. I want to see what the rest of it says. I'm sure it's a name that I don't want to butcher. So we'll just say at the 7 pick, and Rusty Shackelford's and Jorge. Then Gator, you get Garrett Wilson. So Wilson and Diggs with Mahomes. Fantastic start there. Steph, Amon-Ra. I mean, there's not much more to say other than you have a legitimate wide receiver 1 to go with your the definite tight end 1, and an upside top 5 or 6 quarterback. So, I mean, fantastic start from 3, something that I could very easily see Carrie mimicking. Don't screw it up. So keep going good. So she has that. I took Devontae Adams. I'm a little questionable as far as I think that's fair for where he's going. I love the upside but I worry about the quarterback play. Then the Nick Chubb, Ramondre Stevenson, T. Higgins. You batched up Steph, Jalen Waddle with Tua. How fantastic is that little nice stack you have there.
I don't know if you saw how fast I pushed it. I was hoping to get Hill originally. That's what I was thinking, because that's actually something I used to do from the 12 spot in like Superflex leagues.
Mhm.
Sometimes I would actually take 2 a little early and do the double stack to get Tyreek Hill, or the single stack, I mean, but do it, you're reaching for him a little early. Again, I still think he has that ceiling, and that's pretty much the only time you could get those two together. But I will settle for Waddle, because it's still a very concentrated offense, and I think that if Tua does good, both his big time receivers here should go off as well.
Now you
So
doing
I'm
as many
happy
best.
and
Yeah. So you do. I have a question. So you do a ton of best ball drafts. Do you incorporate, like with the stack, into just a regular redraft? Do you see as much of benefit in redraft as you do in the best ball drafts from stacking?
oh yeah, stacking is always going to improve your chances, because if your quarterback is doing good, chances are they're wide receivers. So if you hit on that right offense, then that's one thing you got right, and that can just push you to the top.
Mm-hmm.
If you get
No,
the right
that is-
offense, if you're
That's-
wrong, you're wrong. But I think it can still up it in format. Like, I'm not looking to game stack in the same way. Like, finals aren't the same time. So some of the strategy is different, but basic stacking on a team, quarterback with 1 or 2 of his best pass catchers.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I'm all about that. Maybe a
Or-
running back, who knows?
Jorge, you took Debo there at the 5-8. If you have your choice of quarterbacks to accent Debo, are you hoping that it's Brock Purdy, or are you hoping that Trey Lance is behind center?
I'm praying it's Brock Purdy. Just give me the quarterback that A, showed something last year. B, isn't still in the discussion of potential trade talks. I hope it's Purdy. That San Francisco offense was just humming last year. Debo had a great year, even with McCaffrey coming over, taking some of his rushing upside away. He was still one of the best wide receivers there for fantasy. So give me all the Debo, as well as Brock Purdy.
Absolutely. No, I can see the case being made there. And the Steph wide receiver train continues with Amon-Ra, Waddle, and then Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is sliding there. Seems to is excellent value. Who was so far in this this grouping of wide receivers that, if you ask me, of Drake London, Keenan Allen, Debo Samuel, Amari Cooper, Gator, I guess you had kind of the choice of Amari Cooper, but was Debo or Keenan Allen or Drake London on your radar to go 3 wide receivers, or were you strictly looking for that running back to get caught up?
No, but Dallas Goedert was on there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was looking at ETN just because of where he was in, ADP, which ADP is kind of screwy right now, of course, with the Scott Fishbowl, and then you have all the other drafts going as well.
Yeah.
So I was looking at ETN, but looking at where ETN was at, then you had, a couple other players between him and Aaron Jones. And I just feel like Aaron Jones is going to get, a good bit of work as he has in the past. And then I was looking at tight end just because of where the tight ends have been falling in this particular draft. Now we're getting the 3rd tight end off the board in the 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them fall there, then 2 in the 5th round. And I was thinking that everybody was going to let that slide right by, let Goddard get back to me, which didn't happen, which, probably very, pretty smart. But I'll go ahead and take probably the tight end 2 or 3 this year right now, and that being Darren Waller. And I'll go ahead and secure that position for the rest of Scott Fishbowl to the championship with that. But so the thought process, though, was Aaron Jones or Dallas Goedert at 5'9". And I just couldn't pass up I didn't think that Jones would have got back to me. I thought Goddard would have had a better chance to get it back to me.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, realistically, you were choosing the side of Dallas Goedert or Aaron Jones and Darren Waller more so than taking the chance and grabbing Dallas Goedert and someone like Kenneth Walker, which I think that you chose correctly, because I would rather have the combine between those two over the latter.
Yes, agreed.
As the 6th round goes, as we mentioned, Amari Cooper to Steph. I took Joe Mixon there with my first running back. Dallas Goedert. Greg at the end I guess I do love that. Not only is it the fact that Goddard was a solid pick from just the tight end bonus, it also stacks up with his Jalen Hurts quarterback. And then Saquon, Nick Chubb, Ramondre. And then he gets his first receiver in Terry McLaurin. Jorge, you're the resident, whatever the name is going to be this year. We will call him
Football team.
The Commander Team Skins. What's your outlook? The Commander Team Skins. What's your outlook, Terry McLaurin, as far as floor? Let's look at his floor play. Is it, I mean, stable, of course, but who do you like? I mean, do you want Sam Howell or do you want Jacoby Brissett?
I want Sam Howell. I like, back when he was in North Carolina, his deep ball accuracy was one of the best, in the ACC and best in college. Actually, just he played for the University of North Carolina, so he didn't get a lot of coverage there. Coming over here to Washington, it's just he has so many weapons and such great coaching now. Here with Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator, the sky's the limit here. As far as McLaurin goes, they're already developing a connection. You saw in the Dallas game last year. You're seeing it in practice this year. Obviously it's practice, right? We're just talking about practice. The channel inner Allen Iverson. But I think his floor is higher than it was last year. I think Hal is an upgrade over Heineke and Wentz. So by default, that floor is going to be elevated there for Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, and I think that McLaurin is just, again, I love the value there. I was battling between McLaurin, D-Hop, and DJ Moore, and I have so many DeAndre Hopkins shares. I know it's a mock, so shares don't matter, but I wanted to go the DJ Moore route. All the slander that you've slayed towards DJ Moore over the years, I want to represent, your Terp and my favorite betting piece, which is, for people not paying attention or that didn't know, a couple years back we did the bet. I had a bet with our friend Dave Ibrahim over this final 12 weeks of the season when Robbie Anderson, I'm calling him Robbie Anderson, I don't care what his name is now, came out like, a blazing, and I took DJ Moore for the rest of the season. The loser is supposed to have to have worn the opposing team's underwear in a, I would say, thong variety, but nobody wanted to see that. And so I won. I didn't, and Dave did not take the bait or the bet. He said I had to purchase said underwear. Drew, you are on the clock. You walk us through your process now. You've got two running backs. You've got one of your quarterbacks. You've got your wide receiver one, and you've got your tight end one in Kyle Pitts. Walk us through what you're looking at.
I was actually considering another running back if Dobbins would have made it to me. I think he's going to get a ton of volume. And I liked what I saw down the stretch last season. It looked like he was much more the Dobbins we were used to, compared to the beginning of the season whenever he seems like he was still trying to shake off the rust and work through coming back from that injury. So I was considering him there. Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, two other guys that were in consideration. But since those guys flew off, I'm going to grab my second quarterback. I can't take the homer out of me for this one. So I'm going to grab Stafford. I do like they made some improvements to the offensive line this offseason. He's already in camp. He seems like he's healthy. He's got Coop back. So I like him for a bounce back this year. And then I'm grabbing the forever underrated and underdraft Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a case to be made that no matter the quarterback in San Francisco, that Ayuk last year was, in more games than not, was the number one preferred weapon. And I know Debo has, in this format especially, with the rushing attempts and the diversity, has probably the higher ceiling. I think Brandon Ayuk has the safer floor. And Stafford, I am in agreement. I think that the projections for him this year, over 4,000 yards, I think 25 touchdowns is a doable scenario. And I don't think the nice thing is you don't have to worry about that potential for the, double-digit interceptions hurting you in any case.
Right. Yeah, much less nervous taking him in this format. Yeah, as far as this year's Scott Fishbowl scoring, the way that Debo and Ayuk finished, they were separated by 0.2 points on a points per game basis last year. So, I don't mind Ayuk there at all.
No, I like Ayuk. let's see, where we left off essentially is the recap going through D-Hop, Steph, with 4 receivers in a row. And in this format, when you have so many flex spots to fill, Steph, is your preferred position filling your flex in this the wide receiver? Is that just kind of the way the draft fell to you?
I mean, like I said earlier, I tend to be a little bit of a 0 RB drafter. So yes, I do a lot of times look. I would have taken, I was hoping Pollard made it to me. I was hoping Chubb, but I wanted to go with some of the receivers for the stack. So there are some running backs I would have considered early. And in this spot, Dobbins, Pierce, I think are really good picks. I would have taken one of them probably. So we'll see. I mean, for me, it just kind of is who makes it back, because I still think there's a few guys that could be still their running back one even on their team. And then, we know there's a lot of injuries at the position. So, and there's always a lot of changes. So I think taking, a quantity of them later on, I don't have a problem with. And these wide receivers really, to me, fell. Like Cooper and Hopkins, they go very early. And, I'm kind of equating this to the best ball ADP. But I mean, obviously Hopkins, we're not quite sure where he lands. So there's some upside and downside with that pick. But I think right now that these guys could be some of the top scoring receivers and put me at a big advantage at that part and in my flex.
Yeah, you're I'm sorry, go ahead, get it. What, you're pissed off because Michael Pittman?
Just Jorge just sniping people left and right tonight.
You're welcome. You are welcome, sir.
I've been able to say that tonight. I finally got to say it.
And you say sniping people, since there's only one person that can talk in this draft that he would be sniping from. I'm guessing that's you then, that he's sniping. And
he's sniping from me there, yeah.
Jorge, has he taken any picks that you were hoping to get?
That would be it. You mean besides Jared Goff? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I guess you could say he took Mahomes in the first round. No. I do like the Waller pick. I guess that is fair. I guess Kenneth Walker was my next player after Waller. It's just how the queue went at that point. I do like Waller. I do think he has top tight end upside. Whether it's, I don't know about tight end. I don't think he's challenging Kelsey. I don't think anybody's challenging Kelsey, but I think that the bait for 2 or 3 is definitely there if he can stay healthy.
Steph, I want to come back to you as far as I'm intrigued to hear people's take on their forecasting for Jordan Love. Obviously, we know the weapons are improving shockingly in Green Bay, more so than what Aaron Rodgers really ever had for the past decade. There goes Connor. I was hoping to double stack Akers and Connors. But
I wanted him to, actually.
Well, shit, the both of us. I would have taken him there. But walk me through, do you have shares of Jordan Love? Was this just a best quarterback available since you only have the one?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily a big believer in Green Bay's offense, but I was hoping, actually, I was thinking of Carr, and then he went, and I kind of was looking at who was left, and he's got a rushing upside, so that's kind of why I went there. I'm always willing to take anybody that has a shot, at a ceiling, and I think he does. Because I didn't want to get locked out at quarterbacks. I've had that happen. And you know what? I'm going to take a rookie here because I don't have the strongest, and I would like to have some options.
There you
and
go.
not get locked out, and then I feel like I could be done at quarterback for the most part.
Exactly. And that's a nice strategy to have, is if you take a quarterback early and the Hurts, Allen, Mahomes, of course you can probably wait and get the second later. If you go with Kelsey, I think you still got the one, but yet you've allotted yourself the ability from rounds 9 through 22 with having your 3 to not focus on any of the just bullshit upside or hopeful prayers, kind of like I think maybe a few of the teams still might have to do going forward. Gator, you mentioned you kind of went, was that an anger that you were you wanting CJ Stroud?
Yeah, I had CJ Stroud in my queue to come up right now because I just knew that he wasn't going to get picked. And well, whatever. That's fine.
You made a
I
great
heard
pivot
he
though, Gator.
might be able to rush. I know he didn't rush, but I heard that there's that possibility. So again,
No, he's capable. It's the same thing with Justin Fields. Justin Fields didn't rush at Ohio State either, if you remember correctly. So
exactly.
it's just that style of offense. They don't ask them to rush. They can rush. And there's the plus
exactly. That's it.
They're not rushing in college. Not saying they can't do it, but they just don't do it. That doesn't work in that offense. And so when they get to the NFL, everybody's like, oh, well, they don't rush. And that's all the NFL, as far as fantasy is concerned, that's all we want is is rushing quarterbacks. But he can do it.
Exactly.
And what they've done,
I think that's upside.
But they've also built an offensive line, started to build the offensive line there in Houston too. So that is going to help him out.
Jorge, I feel
I know we're on the same wavelength. I totally agree. I'm sorry to have sniped you. Now I feel bad.
I know.
Impassioned.
Now.
But I also heard that you were locked out when you took Kelsey, so I didn't want that to happen. Since I did go on a little wide receiver run.
Your Greg Dulcich love, I guess, is this. You took him last night too, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Or you were.
He was somebody I was targeting. I did not end up getting him, but given the players that I think have the most upside at the tight end position, Freiermuth, there's a lot of mouths to feed. Schultz, I don't know. Komet, no. Chig, maybe I could have gone that just because there is not a lot of competition for targets. But man, I just love the Russell Wilson Dulcich connection there. And now with Sean Payton there, I just feel like that's gonna take off this year and year two for him.
Do you think them bringing Adam Troutman over, following with Sean Payton, has any bearing whatsoever on tight end snaps?
Blocking snaps.
There you go. Hey, that's fair.
But that's as far as I take a look at that, or that's as far as I think.
Which is all that matters. Just all you gotta do is convince yourself, right?
That's right.
So there goes Javonte. He's been the topic of many conversations. I think that obviously if you knew you could get 200 carries out of him would be super value pick, but we're probably leaning 140, 150 is most likely. Alexander Madison less takes as his third consecutive running back, which I think for round 6, 7, and 8 are pretty spectacular, which goes along with his name, of course. And J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, and Alexander Madison. Yes, that was not a good attempt there.
I can't believe we don't have a Taylor Swift spectacular song.
I didn't know that there was a Taylor Swift spectacular
I don't
song.
know. No, we got to call her and tell her, hey, we need this word in your song because
why? So we can pirate it and play it for free.
Absolutely, we know.
Yeah, that's hey, it is what it is.
I'm not a fan of Williams.
You were what?
I'm scared of Williams. I think even if he comes back, I mean, Stacey and I were talking about it. 3 ligament injury. You see guys their first year back from an ACL. Look at Dobbins last year. He had a very similar type injury. It is not good. Brees is a lot cleaner injury, but even then, I mean, the first year back on ACLs, it is not good. And 3 ligaments, I really don't think he's going to be able to do well, even if he's out there. Not what you would expect. I mean, I don't mind it if you have some guys around maybe taking a shot, especially if he falls really late. But if he's one of your first couple running backs, that scares me.
Well, he definitely is.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Chiefs fan 73 is definitely going the route of a little, I'd say, risk reward with Breece Hall, with Kyler Murray, and with Javonte. The reward's always great, and in a format like we've said a couple different times now, you want to shoot for the moon, but sometimes having too many risky eggs in your basket can just leave it smelling like sulfur, and that's not always the best outcome. Drew, Trey Lance as your quarterback 3. Kudos, love the opportunity there. over under 55% that Trey Lance starts more than 10 games.
I mean, for the sake of the draft pick, I'm hoping it's over.
Exactly.
I think we're writing him off too fast, man. I really don't think he's gotten a fair shake up to this point. He sat behind Jimmy G in year one. He got to have a couple spot starts in year two whenever there were some injuries, and then the year he was, his year he was finally supposed to be the starter. He had one game that was a complete tsunami, and then he got injured after another game, and we've just completely written him off. And I'm a sucker for the talent, man. I just think his physical abilities mixed with the weapons they have there, and Kyle Shanahan and his abilities as a play caller. I just think that the ceiling is so high. If he does start the season as a starter, he comes out and plays well. But there is obviously the concern that they clearly love Brock Purdy, and if he doesn't play well, I don't think they're going to hesitate to turn to Brock Purdy as soon as he's healthy. So it's definitely risky.
Yeah, it's one of those that I really, really, really want to pair. I would love to pair Anthony Richardson with Trey Lance. At this next pick when it's coming back. Honestly, that's where I was looking. Fucking Jorge. Look at that. He takes right in the middle between both of our picks in the ninth.
I was laughing there because Rusty took John Dotson, which was probably going to be Jorge's pick. Right?
Yes, it was.
And here's the effed up part is Gibson was going to be my pick. So thanks, Rusty, for screwing up my pick.
Well, now who's now you're going to screw up Stephanie's pick here? What's going to happen?
I'm going to try. That's definitely the goal right
It's okay. I have several I want, so you're good.
Oh, see, I like that. I like that. Good.
Bring it, Gator.
Never let them see you sweat. Doesn't matter who it is. I don't care.
No, and here's the thing: it's like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. The rock being Stephanie Miller, the hard place being Jorge B. Edwards over here, and
5 seconds.
So I'm going to get on either side. And it doesn't matter what I do. These two are way smarter than me when it comes to drafting. So they pivot way quicker and way faster than I can.
True.
So you know how that is, though. You've done these drafts with people that are way smarter than you too.
Oh, every person I've ever drafted with is smarter than me. It's not saying much. I still believe that, I think Cole Kmet has
tight end one.
Top. I mean, I think he is a tight end one. I don't know about the overall tight end one.
Oh, okay. I thought, sorry.
But a tight end one. Yeah. I mean, if you look down the stretch, look from week 9 on. And again, I think I said this last night, and I still don't have it pulled up, even though I knew I was probably going to draft him. I should have been better prepared with that. But I think it was the tight end 5 over that stretch. So, I mean, the upside is definitely there. You don't want, obviously, any Justin Fields slander coming your direction, because you want him just to be run heavy only so that he can gain you the most points possible. And I wanted Pacheco there, Steph. Not that I was letting it be. No, you don't need to apologize.
Steph,
I don't feel bad.
Good.
Who was your target at 9-10 right there?
I had a couple, like I said, just a tier of running backs.
Was Rashad Penny in that tier? Or no?
He's a little lower.
Okay.
He's a little bit lower. I like him. I would have liked it probably. I would have taken him within 10 or 11 still.
Okay.
I mean, it just would have. But Gibson is I would have taken later. Yeah. Gibson's after Penny for me. I like Penny a lot. I take a lot of Penny. I really do. I mean, he's got that upside again. I love that pick. But I like the Washington guys, but that's okay. I'm going to take Cook here. Don't worry, I've got this.
Yeah, I don't like Ron Rivera as the coach, but I'm going to trust in the
Eric
Bieniemy going over there in what he has said so far about wanting to get Gibson more involved in the passing game. So I'm gonna trust that.
And I wanted to snipe both Nate and Drew. So
I knew there was no chance. Whenever I made the decision, I wasn't going to take him at the turn on my last picks. I knew he wasn't making it back to me.
You sorry, dog. You talked
So-
about it earlier.
I take Brian Robinson though over Gibson still. I still think that they're going to give him the first shot, but I do think they both can survive. I've taken them both in best ball on teams together. Even I think they both can have a role and do pretty well. Like you, I trust BNB.
I really
So-
hope Bieniemy makes better use of his talents, because I don't understand why he was practically a
all-
receiver in college, and then they came in and tried to turn him into a 2-down grinder. It just really pissed me off. But he was still a successful fantasy asset even whenever he was that way. I think he's a more talented player than Brian Robinson.
He fits the Eric
all of
Bieniemy
us do.
offense. Yeah,
It doesn't matter what we think, though. It matters what the coaching staff
Exactly.
wants, and
Exactly.
they love to feed Brian Robinson. So
but that the mold of the Eric Bieniemy running back is more of the Antonio Gibson than it is the Brian Robinson.
right,
And if
yeah,
Bieniemy has a
would-
say in the matter, it'll go that way. I know he has a say, but at the end of the day, I think production is going to trump the majority of the decision making, and I think Brian Robinson is more than capable of maintaining that role and doing the RPO question is and play action is what's going to come into affect the most, because that's what Sam Howell, if he has the job, is the most comfortable with at North Carolina. It's what Bieniemy will try to utilize, and whichever running back they see being able to take advantage of the opportunity better, and which one picks up that style of offense better, will probably be the one that we see get the majority of the carries. And unfortunately, we might not know that until week, 2 or 3, until it starts to unfold.
It's funny. I just remembered last year for Scott Fishbowl, I think I pushed running back until pretty far, maybe around 11 or 12 before I took my 1st one. And it was really funny because my whole league was freaking out about it. And I just was enjoyed other people upset. But my first running back was Antonio Gibson, who fell super far last year as my RB1. I got him later than anybody else, because Spike Week had that tool where you could see how late other people were getting players in drafts.
Yeah.
For Scott Fishbowl. And I actually had him. I think someone might have beaten me in one of the later drafts by a pick or two, but I got him really late. I got some really good value. He didn't do much though, so I lost pretty bad. But
Hey, the value is still value.
the
Because
value was there.
at the time you took him, you did not know where it was going to work out or how it was going to work out. So,
hey Nate, I got a question for you.
yeah.
So you talked about how Gibson kind of fits the Eric Bieniemy mold at running back, right? But now we have Nagy back in Kansas City as the offensive coordinator. And when we saw him last, he was more of a one running back featured guy, speaking, of course, with Damian Williams and Kareem Hunt during his last couple of years there. What do you think that does to Jerick McKinnon coming back? Do you still think they're going to utilize him like they did last year, or do you think this is going to be more Isaiah Pacheco led in terms of the running back stable there?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I think that as much as the Matt Nagy approach, Andy Reid has really put his fingerprints all over the utilization of McKinnon out of the backfield, and even still seeing some CEH they brought, bringing him back. Maybe that's a telltale sign, and not letting him go is that they intend to use a multiple faceted approach. I can't speak entirely for that, but it sure seems like they didn't necessarily feel uncomfortable with having those three guys in the backfield. I still lean that Pacheco's the closest that we have, or they have, to being an every down back, as much as I don't think that will happen. I think that 900 yards is probably a fair projection for Pacheco, which I think would be, fantastic. The touchdowns is what obviously everybody wants, but McKinnon will work in and get his. It could be a very annoying backfield again, week in, week out. So
annoying is a very good word for it.
I hate to say it, because it wasn't last year. We saw spurts. It was crazy as through 4 to 5 game stretches. Isaiah Pacheco was top 5 running back for a stretch. Towards the end of the season, Jerick McKinnon was a top 5 running back. So when given an opportunity to carry the majority of the workload, they produce an RB1. When all three are touching the ball, they get good output. They just, unfortunately, you can't predict which one it is. And I want to see the offensive line. The offensive line, to me, got a little bit worse, but not that much. It got better in run blocking, but worse in pass blocking, if you ask me.
Anytime we talk about the Chiefs running back, my head always goes back to what if we lived in an alternate universe where they took any
Jonathan
other
Taylor.
of the top running. I mean, any
know.
Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift, any of those other guys.
I know.
Just imagining, but yeah, Jonathan Taylor specifically, putting him in that offense, man.
Yeah, I like that alternate universe in my head. Sure seems like a fun place to be. But then again, we've also won, a couple Super Bowls in that time.
You guys have fared just fine.
I mean, it's
just for fantasy purposes, I would love to see a do it all back in that offense. It would just be so much fun.
Yeah, I would.
Hey, I know you are on the clock here, so what I would like to do is as soon as you make this pick, and then you've got the wraparound going in the round 12, and then when you make your 12-2 pick, let's get Tyler, who was here last night. He wants to know how it started. So I will, while you're doing this pick through that, I'll tell you, Tyler, I didn't do the 101 tonight like I did last night, and thankfully somebody else way smarter drafting from the 101 was there, and got Jalen Hurts to start, Saquon Barkley. So I'm going to actually do the board. I'm going to scroll the board up here so Tyler can actually see what the board was and how it went. Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, the 101 took with the first three picks instead of Kelsey going 101. Can I have a time machine and bring? What does he want to do? Priest Holmes? Oh Lord!
Yeah,
that would be a lot of fun.
I want to go back to Christian Okoye days too, just so I can have that.
Yeah, Christian Okoye, Priest Holmes, and Jameson Williams all in this, or Jameis Williams all on the same team, right?
Who?
Getting the bombs.
No,
you don't want Jameis Williams or Jameis Winston on that team?
On the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Over Patrick Mahomes?
No. You talk about if you're going at the time machine, take them all back. Or you take Patrick Mahomes, because you take Patrick Mahomes over.
Yes.
Jameis.
Every quarterback that's been in the league, maybe not named Tom Brady.
Because he's got more rings.
I mean, there's
less money than everybody else to get more rings.
Hey,
he's just been that dominant. I mean, you can't. What negative things can you say about Patrick Mahomes? Even in the Super Bowl they lost against Tampa Bay, like that wasn't on him. He literally was flying horizontally and almost threw a touchdown pass 40 yards down the field. Like the guy, we haven't seen anything like it since Tom Brady and the Peyton Manning. Like you have Brady, Manning, Mahomes, 3. And I know I'm upsetting a lot of the Joe Montana people out there, but deal with it.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, nothing on the field that you can say about Mahomes. The only thing you can say about him is off the field. It has nothing to do with him personally. It's his brother. That's the only bad thing that you can correlate to Patrick Mahomes. Everything else has been good. Everything.
Yeah, and even that, honestly, prior to the arrest, it was still the number one thing people were talking about, and he didn't produce a TikTok or anything for like 9 months, and yet every week it was regurgitating something that Jackson put up from 2021.
Yeah,
if you go back and look at all of
with
it,
his little brother, it was so weird.
It was to the point of like it almost became humorous in that it was just reaching for that. They're like, look what he did, and it's like, man, that was from 2021. What did he even do? And then, but that spurred conversation, and then it's like, I don't like him. Well, I don't like him either. Gator, you were on the clock and you just got timed out.
That's all right. I had my guy on there. I was doing other stuff. I had my guy already set up. It's good.
Gotcha. So you had it pulled back up for Tyler.
Oh yeah,
and
back over here since I am. There you go.
And Tyler, obviously you don't need me to talk you through it or anything like that, but so far, every team has 2, if not 3 quarterbacks. There's only a few of us that don't have more than that have 2. most of which were the teams that had a quarterback that they took early, that they don't need the third. Every team looks to have at least 3 running backs, and really only one team has no tight end yet, and that's less. And do you guys, looking at who's left in the tight end pool, we've got, Michael Mayer, Tyler Higbee, Dawson Knox, Gerald Everett, Juwan Johnson, Irv Smith, Mike Gesicki. Are we thinking tight end might actually in this format be one of the deeper categories just as simply as a result? And does it make you, like, Stephanie, you saying yeah, and I agree with that.
I think in general this year we have. Do you know how many tight ends we have that are going like so late in drafts right now? I mean, some of the best values. Dawson Knox is not even getting drafted in every draft that I've been in. People have lost their minds. I'm sorry, but Kincaid, they don't even know what they're doing with him yet. 100%. No. Like, he's not their starting tight end. I'm not saying he's not going to have a role, but I mean, Dawson Knox didn't die. Like, there's no reason that he should be going round 17, 18 on one of the highest scoring offenses in the league. Mm-hmm. I mean, Hunter Henry is the starting tight end for the Patriots, and you get him in the last round of drafts. Mike Gesicki, now they're talking about using as a wide receiver, and the Patriots don't have that much at wide receiver. So, I mean, I think both of them are going to have some role, and it should be better with, actually having a offensive coordinator this year. I'm hoping on there. Yeah, so, I mean, there's tons of guys late that you can really get. And I mean, we always talk about, worrying about these rookie tight ends taking a bit of time to come on, but there's some guys in some really good positions, and they're really talented this year that are coming out. Mm-hmm. I think Mayer is a great late pick. Laporta is going to have some opportunity, especially with, JMO out for those few weeks, I think. So, I mean, I love all of those guys, and I think they have a legit shot of putting up some points. So in this format where they're given a little bit more, I don't mind. Like I said, if you don't get, one of the early elite guys, I don't mind waiting and taking shots on a few of those guys later, because I think that some of them could come close to matching, especially mid-range.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And speak of the devil, there's Les. He was listening to you speak, said, you know what? she makes sense. Why would I not take one of the more dangerous tight end or red zone threats potentially at what, 12-10? I mean, and that's not a knock on like Sam Laporta and really Chikakonkwo or any of the other two, those two that went before. It's, we're always chasing upside, but there's something about security and sense of I'd say familiarity with Josh Allen that we know that Dawson Knox will have. Drew took the other one that I would look at, which was Tyler Higbee, who he matches up with Matt Stafford. Mm-hmm. And I love Higbee in this format too. I mean, that really the first down situation is the one area that I keep focusing back on Tyler Higbee, and that he was so often looked at to get that first down. And even if it's not the, like Gator, we were talking about last night, the 9-yard variety, where you get the first down and the reception and you get 5 points for that catch, but just the 2 for the first down and the reception. I mean, you're talking, even if it's a 1-yard first down, 4 and a 10th is solid.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I'm looking at tight ends, especially later on, I'm trying to find guys that could be the potential second target in their offense. And I think Higbee has that possibility. I think that Chig has that possibility. Dalton Schultz, those are all guys that I like in that range, because I do think the number 2 target in their offense is within the range of outcomes for all those guys. So whenever you're trying to, pick out tight ends, it's, obviously, as we all know, we're just looking for opportunity. So, and then I'm not a huge fan of doing what I did, to be honest. I considered Ryan Tannehill instead, but I want whatever quarterback is going to play for San Francisco. So I kind of handcuff myself, which I don't really like doing, but I grabbed Purdy there too, because even though I like Lance, I don't think San Francisco likes him near as much as I do, despite what the draft capital they gave up. So, but I already feel gross for doing it.
They're talking about
Get
Purdy
the
starting week
rolling.
1. I hate to say it.
I know.
They're saying
I
he's going to
know.
be ready. I'm kind of, and I would trust me. I was like, oh, I was the biggest Lance backer, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's his job to lose. I
Yeah, it does
I
seem
don't
that
think
way.
they're lying about that unless they trade him. It's not looking pretty, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Gator's losing his mind.
No.
Over Baker Mayfield?
Yes, no, I feel great right now that he wasn't on the board, and it was going to be one of those ones like last night where it's like, oh shit, I got to take him.
Oh yeah.
Take Kyle Trask next night for the next round.
You don't
There you
ever
go.
have to take Baker. You know that, right? Like you can just.
No, I
You
didn't.
you have choices. You have options.
Last night it was a limited choice from what I had on my team. I had to have a quarterback.
I would have taken Mike White instead and hoped for the concussion. Play the other side of what I'm doing. I mean, there's something other than Baker. He's
Go
just
ahead
so
and
bad.
go ahead and clip that. Stephanie says you can take Mike White and hope for the concussion. So condense that into
Oh, great. And my guy went. So wait, I
Miami.
got the clock. Oh, no, this
Miami
is
Dolphin fans, you heard that first.
Ouch.
That's horrible. I shouldn't
No,
laugh.
I'm just kidding, guys.
The expression,
Oh, no.
the express
And
written
these aren't in the
consent
order I
of
want.
Stephanie Miller
The
does not
Express.
All right,
reflect
we're just
on
gonna-
We're just
fantasyandframes.com.
going to keep stacking up Miami here because I wanted McKinnon and somehow he disappeared. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right before me.
Yep.
Darn.
Okay, on a punch scale, Steph, how hard do you punch
Mm-hmm.
the computer when Dalvin Cook goes to Miami if this was your real team?
Okay, a lot. And we were talking
Okay.
about this earlier, but now I also feel like I think that Achane's still gonna have his own role. And I'm thinking that Jeff Wilson gets traded into my story that I'm telling myself for this draft.
Okay.
So Mostert, gives me enough points early on. And we got waivers here. So I don't mind riding the waiver wire for running backs. I mean, I've been successful doing that in the past. I mean, I got Pacheco last year. And that worked out if I had stayed in pretty well. I mean, running back, it's the position you're most likely going to find that gem if there is one on those waivers. So, I mean, I don't mind being a little weaker there, especially in this type of format. But also, I think that Miami's going to run a lot. So, I mean, they ride the hot hand. And, Cook's not that young either. There's no saying that he's going to walk in and just take over. He didn't look very good last year.
Yeah, he wasn't
I
evading.
mean, Dalvin's on the decline. So, I mean, not saying that Mostert's any young spring chicken, but, I mean, he could break off a big run. And, when he gets the ball in his hand, he always has that ability.
There we go.
Ooh.
14-2, Justin Tucker. I figure, why not? Again, all right, we asked this question last night.
It was
Steph, since
7 rounds later than the first kicker was taken last night. 7 rounds later tonight.
yeah, Jorge, when did you take him? Was that you that took the first kicker?
I took him in the 8th or 9th, one of the two. Tyler Bass. So Kyle's got an interesting question here.
Mm-hmm.
How come every year people make fantasy football out to be something way harder than it is? Actually, is stop thinking and draft. Well, if that was the case, then everyone would be winning at fantasy football, and that's just not the case because there's only one winner in each league. So that would be my take on that.
I will say that, Kyle, I agree with you. I think that there's a lot of pandering, and I think there's a lot of over-analysis because people want to not only they want to have that 10-second clip of them saying, yep, I said it, and you can hear me, and it's a lot of chest I don't know the right phrasing. Chest beating is fair. Just overall, everybody wants to sometimes seem smarter than they are. At the end of the day, I think that the process that we here at Fantasy and Frames do have gives a competitive edge because with any activity, if you can put in a little more effort and time, you do have an advantage. But I do think that there is a lot of, there can be a lot of over-analysis as a result. Fair question. But yeah,
it makes sense.
My
in the
whole
sense
job
of,
is
like,
data analysis, so I'm
talking
being
to the wrong
analyzed.
crowd. Yeah.
mhm.
I
No,
mean,
there
I'm
is something to
studying
be
to be a
said.
board certified behavior analyst, so that's literally all I do is look at data and analyze it day in and day
There
out.
is something to be said for paralysis
Everything's
by
evidence-based.
analysis.
Mhm.
Yes, there definitely is. And there's, sometimes why, so if anybody's ever done projections, you do your projections, and I can't speak for everyone, but at least what I did when I did mine is I compared them to other people's projections, and I wanted to see how close or how far off I was. And I got me thinking, if I was off on somebody, I immediately internalized that. And that's probably a negative thing that I shouldn't do. We should all take our own analysis and not, do, like you said, Jorge, the paralysis by analysis and listing everybody. Like, I don't listen to 2/3 of what you guys say at all. I mean, I cut out maybe 80%, honestly. That's why I'm a great host, because I don't even listen to anything. I just ramble on for 20 minutes, say someone did something good or bad, and move on. Goldfish.
Is that what you're doing when you ask the question and all of a sudden you're like looking somewhere? You're not even listening for the answer, and then you come back and like,
Don't care.
oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I don't care about an answer. I'm not really looking for an answer. 92%
Typical men.
Yeah, it's
What a
pretty common. Most are rhetorical questions. It might be directive questions, but most are rhetorical.
I got Kyle back in here. Thanks for covering. No, thank you for the view. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is Kyle in the draft?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah, I think even Mike wanted to know if Kyle was in the draft. And Kyle, if you're not in the draft, let us know. We'll definitely want to get you in on one. If
we want school us next time, Kyle. We would love for that to happen.
And Tyler asks if I want a projection template or I'll be using a stone tablet, and I will answer that right now. I do all my stuff. Yes, I see it to my right. It is a large pamphlet. I write them all out. I don't use the projection template as much as I'd like to do it. Something about the old pen and paper is I don't know. I enjoy that aspect of it until players get traded. Then I have to scratch it out and it looks like shit. But aside from that, yes, use a pencil, Nate. Got it. I understand.
Hey, I can appreciate that. Every time I go to a draft, I still print out the cheat sheet and bring a pen and cross out names. I still do that.
If you want to go to your draft, anyone listening, and you want to bring the aforementioned printout cheat sheet or rankings, go over to fantasyandframes.com and you can find all of our rankings there. Thank you very much. Not bad. See, I listened. That was the 80% I listened to. Drew, mostly because he likes the Cardinals. And
we suffer together.
We suffer together. Misery loves company.
That's right.
Kyle, I appreciate you.
Right.
Yes.
I'm not. I just like the channel. Well, we like you for liking the channel. And next time, awesome. Love it. Love it, Kyle. Next time.
Yeah. Probably be tomorrow. Let's be honest.
Yeah. After shoot the gap. Yeah, exactly.
Jeez. Well, we're getting to get to like 7:00 in order to get this in. keeping old people awake tonight.
That's true.
We want to first speaking, I guess not speaking of that, but we wrapped up last night around 11 p.m. last night. And to the 1,400 people who watched us last night on a Wednesday up until 11 o'clock, 1,400 of you, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
1,400. Now I'm getting nervous. I didn't know there was that many people watching us.
Yep. Only 40% are listening.
Have no running back.
But it might even be less. If you take the overall percentage of listening audience, it might even be less when you calculate in what Nate listens to on the stream.
Not much.
It's probably
considering that most of them are probably men. I'm going with the over.
Oh my God!
10 seconds.
What?
Oh, shit.
Jorge does.
Thank you.
Jorge with the Tennessee quarterback stack.
That was not strategic. That was just that was dumb. That was dumb. There was, oh my God, I'm running out of time. Press button now. Okay, that's who's in front of me. That's what we'll go with right there.
You really are in on Tennessee's passing attack. I mean, please tell me more.
Well,
about
so
these
the
amazing
issue.
receivers.
Tell me more.
No, so basically, I was going with whatever was available because I didn't realize when I took Justin Fields and Daniel Jones, they both have the same bye week. And at this point in the draft, I'm kind of screwed as far as quarterback. I should have taken somebody else like a Jacoby Brissett, who has potential for backup role there, or a Mike White in Miami. But I just, as soon as Gator said you're on the clock, I'm like, oh God, just a panic move, amateur move, rookie move. Kyle, please roast me for that if you're still in the chat, because that was dumb.
Well, here's an ironic thing for you, Jorge. Just in case you don't know this, Daniel Jones and Justin Fields both have the same bye week. So do Tannehill and Levis.
Good. Yes, obviously. No shit.
I thought the Tannehill pick was good value, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't mind the Tannehill pick.
Get up, Kyle. Get up.
Rusty, love you, buddy. That's fantastic.
Rusty's roasting us in the chat, roasting us on our comments. Love you, Rusty.
Tyler said platoon quarterback.
I'm good on quarterbacks. I won't care about any other position. Somebody tell me, are my tight ends on a bye week together? So I don't have to look it up, because I'm really bad about bye weeks if I don't have it like on the screen.
Sleeper, whoever is in charge of Sleeper, if you're listening,
Sleeper needs to do this.
next to the team name on the draft board, like for instance, next to Tajay Spears, next to Tennessee, if you could just put like 11 or whatever bye week is in parentheses next to it, wouldn't occupy much space. It would be clean and it would help us all out greatly. So thank you. Hashtag Sleeper. Is that how you're supposed to do it?
Yeah, they do it when you
sound like a pro.
You draft a player, and then you look at your roster. They actually do have that on there.
Yeah, I'm not looking at that. I don't want to. I asked on the page that we're looking at that everybody's face
right
staring at. Yeah, if you go to a different website, Gator, and you look it up, it actually is right there too.
No, like if you were on your draft board and you click on your roster, it will show you in parentheses what their bye week is. But it doesn't show
that's what that number is
until you draft them. That's what I was saying, Nate.
I know what you're saying. Oh no, that was not who I wanted.
Oh, okay, that was wrong. Now I'm back.
Well, I know
you slapped her on accident.
You know what that makes me feel that much better is whenever I know someone wants a person and I take him, I go, shit, I didn't want that bum, knowing that that's who they wanted.
Okay.
I wish I did.
I'll take the better receiver to stack with my quarterback.
Ooh.
That's who I wanted.
Maybe.
It
was all part of the plan.
My plan was I didn't know I was running out of time.
Quite a rookie run here in the 16th round.
I mean,
I guess I started something. I mean, Downs has been going really late, so I'm very surprised to see him go. Is that the Richardson team though?
No, that Nate has Richardson. Sorry, bastard. He sucks.
Oh, that's Gators team. I don't even look at the name. See, I was just like, oh, yeah. But Downs has been going on underdog. He has dropped to being 17th, 18th round. People are really low on him all of a sudden. I'm not sure why. I have a lot of Downs exposure. I don't know if he got some bad buzz. I know there was a small injury, maybe. Wasn't
I think you said his name. I think it's Anthony Richardson supporting more than the likelihood that a rookie quarterback, especially one that's not exactly the most accurate prowess, supposedly, I guess. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Can support two different, potentially three if you put Alec Pierce ahead of Downs, if that's the case. I don't think that'll be the case. I think Downs and him will build familiarity prior, more so than Alec Pierce, especially, once down the stretch. Maybe early on, it'll go Pittman, Pierce, then probably, I don't know.
Well, I think.
But Pierce plays in that spot where he's so good deep. That's what I feel like they might connect on. Not the volume, but getting those downfield shots. Because that's what Richardson's really good at.
yeah, Stephanie brought this up on the best ball show. You know, the difference between Downs and Pierce is that mid range, that 25, 30 yarder, right? Where Downs is more of that 5 to 10, cross in the middle. I think he's going to be a little bit more active with Downs coming across the middle than it is going to be, But I do like what Stephanie's take was earlier with Alec Pierce is he was that target hog, or the perfect target for the pass that Anthony Richardson throws on a regular that is actually accurate.
A lot of times those tight ends.
He doesn't
and
have to
slot
get as
receivers can
many because I'm
be
worried
young
about
quarterbacks' best friends.
I mean, I also like the big giant tight end that might be a hard target to miss in the end zone too. That nobody wants to take shots on Jelani anymore.
Cardell
I
Washington.
mean, he looked pretty darn good last year. I don't know why people are completely off there. And a lot of young quarterbacks tend to rely on their tight ends, coming in. So
yeah,
that's
I like
another
Jelani
thing
Woods.
that could end up working. And, I mean, when he's going in the last round, I don't mind tacking that on for a shot and some touchdowns.
I've got him
really
at tight
looking
end
at.
20 right now for this year, and I mean that's in the same range as Jawan Johnson, Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, those guys. I don't think he has any business being drafted in the last round.
Yeah, Laporta's going at like 160.
Right.
I mean, it's a huge difference. And I love Laporta. I mean, I have tons of him, but like you said, the gap shouldn't be that big. I like Juwan Johnson too. Because again, touchdowns.
I'm on the clock.
Yes.
That was part of my plan, was to distract you so you don't take my guy. I'm kidding.
Get me
we
hot
have to
bothered
draft
talking about.
kickers, don't we?
You don't
We
have
do.
to. You have to take. I mean, I don't
You
care
have
what
to
you
on
do.
sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah, you're gonna have to take one on sleeper in the real draft. In the
real draft.
Yeah, in the real draft. I mean, it is completely up to you if you want to do it in the mock. Nobody's gonna roast you except Kyle. Kyle will roast you.
Yes.
For sure. And please do.
Okay. Well, then I'm not taking. No.
All you have to do is preface it with, "I'm not overthinking it. I'm just hitting the draft button," and then you'll be fine.
Right.
I did no analysis or research here. I mean, Justin Tucker's the answer, right?
You did. Look what
and
you
he's
did.
gone, then I don't care after that.
So, all right,
I
that
put
takes us back to
last year, actually.
McPherson. Where do you think McPherson finished in this scoring on last year's stats?
It wasn't great because I had him and I didn't do great. I don't remember where he finished.
It would have been the kicker 15, which by all accounts I would definitely have. I think he's going to be. I mean, I just want to say he's going to finish higher this year just because of the 3.3 per extra point. But we asked everybody last night who they thought the number one kicker last year was, last year with this year's scoring. You know what I mean? Just to display the volatility of the kicker position. Who do you think it was? Got a guess?
I thought Tucker. I always go Tucker.
That would be a good guess. He was
like
8th.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's probably, I think, the best guess, though, anyway, just because why wouldn't it be Justin Tucker? He's the most likely to finish one of that range. It was Brett Mayer by about 20 points.
No effing what? I'm a Cowboys fan, right?
Me?
No,
me.
she is.
Oh, why is it Maher?
Yes.
No, I'm just mad about the fact. Do you not remember the guy with the gifts? Like, this is like traumatizing to me. And you're telling me, how the hell did he score the most points? He couldn't freaking hit the broadside of a barn.
Oh, that's right.
I
forgot about that.
Chances. I'm like, does that nobody else remember?
You don't lose points for missed field goals.
So many in a row. It was like, oh my God. So they didn't. Oh, I'm on the clock. That was really good distracting. I have no idea what I was going to pick now. Oh, I saw him. There he is. We'll go with that.
That's pretty solid.
I'm like,
Well, Nate, I just want to throw this at you.
Yeah.
We talked about this, pre-show. The Braves Mets are playing right now. The game just ended, by the way.
Oh, a little baseball talk.
13-10. Ozzy Albies just walked it off in the 10th inning with a 3-run shot that as soon as it hit the bat, the pitcher throws his glove on the ground. It's like, it's on.
That's funny.
Love it. Love it.
Go Braves. Yes, Rusty. Let's do that. Oh, my goodness. Sorry.
Oh,
I was trying to. Yes, and it worked. Clyde Edwards-Helaire after some Braves talk. What's the thought process there, Nate?
So far, Pacheco's banged up right now. Not that he would have to jump over 2 different backs, but I mean the pathway to an opportunity is muddied, but the offense is still the offense. If I'm looking at every other available for me at this point, it'd be a running back, and I mean maybe someone like Deuce Vaughn potentially. I don't know if I trust. I just don't. I hate to say it. We said this last time. It's like when you're at the bar at 2 a.m., lights turn on, and you realize this is slim pickings, but
got to go home with somebody.
You don't have to, but in this case, you have to.
You have to. I feel like you have choices again. This is the Kyle Trask
and you go home.
Or Baker Mayfield.
I was like, Baker.
I would rather have left the 17th round without Clyde Edwards-Helaire than with him. So, yes, I could have left it. Oh, shit. It's on me again. You motherfuckers and your distractions.
The
I
game
just
within
think
the
I someone
game.
took Gallup before I had a chance to after I announced
I
my
love Michael
Cowboys
Gallup.
fandom. No, you just wanted
Look.
to snipe the Cowboys fan. I see how it is.
No, I actually
He's loved
I'm a big
Michael
fan.
Gallup since thick and thin when he's been terrible, and he was supporting him. He couldn't quit him.
No.
Well,
All
this
right.
is the second year back from the ACL, like we were talking about earlier, so
Exactly.
Mhm.
that's when
I
you
think
get him
Rusty-
is once everybody else is off.
I think Rusty's just trolling me when he makes this comment, right? That I sniped him on a kicker. I finally
That's not a
sniped some.
kicker.
Moody?
Oh, did you say
for
Moody? Oh, I thought you said
49ers.
Mooney. Sorry, I thought he was saying Mooney. I was like,
At first I thought that too. I was like, did Mooney just now go in the 17th round? Because if that's the case, why did I take Isaiah Likely?
I
Oh,
like
that would've
Isaiah
been-
Likely.
I liked Isaiah Likely more before they started filling up that receiver room. Not that I think that it was great
I
before.
will not take Odell.
I don't want to at all either.
I mean, maybe if you have a stack and he falls far enough, but it just feels yucky. I do like Flowers and Bateman though. I do like the offense. I mean, I think that they're going to do good this year.
Well, I love
Your
the
thoughts on
the offensive coordinator is going to do good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he'll put it
True. I'm sorry, Dane.
No.
True. What are your thoughts on Gus Edwards, year 2 from ACL coming back? You know, kind of a different philosophy here in Baltimore. But J.K. Dobbins also year 2 coming back. You know, these two are kind of a tandem. A couple of years ago under Greg Roman, you know that Gus Edwards, I believe, even had more rushing attempts within the 5-yard line a couple seasons back. So he definitely carved out his role there for fantasy managers. What do you think about him this year?
I'm so glad you asked because I just absolutely love Gus Edwards as a player. I think he's such an underrated runner. But the reality is I think him and Dobbins do a lot of the same stuff. Neither one of them are really great pass catchers, which is good because Lamar doesn't really throw to the running back that much anyway. But
Thanks.
I don't mind Gus at all this late, especially considering the injury risk with running backs in general. I mean, he's one injury away from being a potential bell cow, and so I don't mind it a bit. But I've always just really had a soft spot for Gus the Bus. I like Gus Bus quite a bit.
I'm really mad y'all started talking about him because I was hoping he made it back to me. So I was like,
Oh, he
no.
wasn't.
Why are we bringing him up when he's still on the board? Then he
I,
went right as you were talking about it.
full-
I was like, no.
Full discllosure, I had
He's
him in
one
my
of the best late
queue.
picks you
So
could
okay.
have. I mean,
Yeah,
he's the
I honestly-
RB2 in that offense. I mean,
Yeah.
why he's the only RB2 that we know of for sure, that we're sure of his role, that's going that late. All the others are because it's an uncertain situation. I mean,
There's
he's
one
going
other
really,
there's one
really
other RB2 still hanging out there, and he's not well.
that we
At least
that we know
I think
for sure.
I think that he's the clear RB2, and you can tell me if you disagree, but I think this guy's the clear RB2, and behind another
Well,
often
let's not
injured
say him
running
until
back.
he goes.
I was gonna say you're not gonna say his name out loud, are you?
Well, he's on the board now, so you can read it off if you want to. But it's Keontae
Yeah.
Ingram.
Okay.
Yeah, I took him last night.
I like
Oh, I
Keontae Ingram, the
agree,
player, and I think he's the clear backup behind James Conner, and so I don't get that excited about taking players in what I project to be really bad offenses anyway. But whenever we're talking about the 18th round, I don't mind taking a shot. I don't care what offense they're in at that point.
Yeah.
No,
And then,
like
you know what? I'm just gonna
I
I'm gonna
think
keep
you're
talking
right
about
there.
guys we've already been talking about.
Jelani.
But
you
I do avoid, if I can, the Cardinals, except for a couple players.
Yeah,
I do like
no
McBride late. I think he could get some use,
Mhm.
and I like Connor, but yeah, I just worry about how many points that they could still put up overall. So I mean, I will sometimes take some shots on Ingram, but I'm just not excited about the offense, unfortunately. I know somebody
agree.
here was a fan.
Yeah, the Connor talk
Is Kyler playing? Fans?
Not if they have a
Maybe
losing
maybe
record.
inside.
So Nate and I are fans of the Cardinals in the baseball world.
yes,
Oh, well,
but
not the Arizona variety.
yeah, but I
gotcha.
Well, they were St. Louis at one point.
they
were.
that is a factual
They were,
statement.
they were also Chicago at one point.
I agree, Rusty. I think that Keontae's a really good value at where he's going, considering I'm not the type to project injuries. I just don't think that's a good practice. But given the injury history that Connor has, I think Ingram's worth a late round flyer.
Yeah,
But yeah, as far as Kyler goes, the team's going to be if he's not ready to start the year, which I don't think anybody is expecting him to be, they're going to get off to a really ugly start, I would assume, with how bad that team looks like they're going to be. I just don't know what the incentive is to get him back out there. So I don't know how many games Kyler's going to play.
I don't think he plays it. I mean, because like you say, if they're losing when he's better, why would they risk it when they're pretty much tanking, it seems like.
Yeah, like, well, why
That's
mess up
why.
their chance to get Caleb Williams and then trade Kyler off to the highest bidder anyway?
Well, that's the thing. How do you increase trade value? So having him sit on the bench and do nothing? I don't know, and I'm not saying I endorse him playing, because him playing might hurt his trade value just as much. Hey, look at this.
Especially if he goes out there and gets hurt again.
This is 2015 Mercedes. How's it run? Don't worry about how it runs. Don't just trust it. It's run before. Okay,
Right.
I got you. It was pretty hot at one point. Yeah, it was very, very coveted. Okay. And the engine blows up.
That's right.
That is, I probably should have used Ford Escort whenever I was describing Kyler Murray as far as comparison to cars. He seems the smaller, compact variety.
He's not the Fiesta. He's big enough to be an Escort.
Yeah, probably not. Probably Fiesta is probably fair too. I was trying to be nice, Jorge. Yeah.
Go.
Who are you looking for?
Who took? I was looking for somebody that went.
Who was
Thornton.
it? Tell it.
I like
I
like
said,
Tyquan
I
Thornton
like
that late.
Thornton.
We do.
I love Tyler. I mean, again, he could be one of the top receivers on his team, and he's going this late. But I took another guy that could also be the second, or third receiving option on his team at Van Jefferson. I mean, people are still docking Stafford for all those things that we were, now we know he's playing and he seems to be healthier, and that offense was pretty good at one time. I don't mind. I think that Higbee and Jefferson are both being undervalued quite a bit this year. People are.
Yeah,
still
I'm
really
personally
upset
not
from what happened
worried
last year.
about Ben Skoranek myself. I'm not worried about it. I think
I would be more worried about Puka Nacua than
I was
would
getting
be
ready to say the
Skoranek.
same thing.
What about Tutu, guys?
I'm very upset. It's not Tua's fault, but as a Rams fan, just them taking 2-2 where they did, whenever they could have taken Creed Humphrey. So I resent Nate a little bit because he's gotten to reap the rewards of Creed Humphrey whenever the Rams so badly needed offensive line help, and they chose to take the undersized receiver of all undersized receivers instead. I have a little bit of resentment toward Tutu.
Yeah.
So,
Creed Humphrey's a stud.
who's the number 2 running back in that backfield? Because
The number 2
I'm taking
in the
shots
Rams
on both
backfield?
guys.
I think it's Zach
I'm
Evans.
taking shots on both.
Whenever you say both, I'm assuming you're talking about Kyron Williams.
Yeah, because I mean, he was getting the work before he got hurt, and there's been some talk that they're acting like he never really lost. I mean, he didn't lose his role; it was injury related.
Yeah, me personally, I don't think that Kyron Williams is very good. He was the numbers he put up at the combine mixed with his measurables
Real quick,
was just a huge red flag for me. And then what I saw on the field wasn't very impressive either.
Now, the only thing I don't have the 80% and the 20%. 20% of the time I was listening to a customer of mine who actually since Kyron Williams is from St. Louis,
right?
He is friends with the person who did his training day. He had a high ankle sprain, approximately, or at least an ankle sprain. I bad at one a few weeks prior to him running the 40 time, and they said that
if I ran a 40 time like that, I would have also had an ankle sprain.
That is true.
I wanted to root for Kyron because he was from the St. Louis area, and I like rooting for St. Louis kids. But I didn't like what I saw on the field very much personally.
Well, are you?
But then Zach Evans also was another guy that slid in the draft. He was a draft loser and was a day 3 pick. So I think it's worth taking shots on both guys because you don't have to invest much draft capital in either one. So I think it's worth picking your spots. But I do think I think it's Cam Akers' backfield as long as he's healthy.
Oh, I do too. I think that's.
Oh yeah.
I think that's given.
Yeah, which is so weird. Like the roller coaster that's been Cam Akers to this point has been so strange because he was all but off the team in the middle of last season, and then they didn't get anything for him. And they were like, you know what? Fine, we're just going to give you the ball every single play. And then he just put all these running back 1 outputs out to end the season. So it's so odd. But it's far, whenever you're just talking about pure talent, I believe in investing in talent. Talent will win out at the end of the day. I think Cam Akers is head and shoulders above the rest of the guys in that running back room as long as he can stay healthy.
Yeah,
but are they using him as a bell cow? I mean, they're going to split work some, I would think.
They will some, but McVay, whenever he has somebody that he can roll out there, McVay has tended to give one running back a ton of work whenever he has somebody that can hold it. So, none of these guys are prime Todd Gurley either, so that's easier said than done.
Well, look at Sony Michel during the Super Bowl run.
Exactly, and then even C.J. Anderson in the Super Bowl run that they lost, like whenever he came off the street and was a bell cow.
Hey, real quick,
he came off the street and scored against my boys. Like it was horrible.
McVay turned him into a bell cow off the street. So I mean,
the chat. I know Scampers is watching, and I know Rusty's watching. What is the score of the Panthers Knights game? So if they can throw that score in the chat for me, that'd be awesome because, well, I'm busy right now. I can't watch the game.
Gator is multitasking like a pro.
10 different screens and none of them are on the hockey game.
It is 2 apiece into the third, going to overtime.
We're in OT. I saw that we were going to OT. I just wanted to know. Thank you both of them. And Mike, awesome.
They were quick with it.
This is why we have the best chat. These guys are on top. Boom, boom, let's go. First OT. Thank you, Scampers. The best cat in the business. Oh, Vegas.
Oh, Chiefs fan 73. Damn it.
Oh, yeah. And by the way,
I need to be able to arrange this queue. It is so weird. You miss guys big time on Sleeper here. Like every time I look, I'm like, wow, how has he not been drafted?
People in your queue because as soon as you do, somebody's taking them. I found that out last
No,
night.
but there's like so many guys
Hitter's
that have it.
traumatized.
I put nobody in the queue. It is bad juju.
Oh, no, I believe that too. I always think people could see my queue somehow.
Oh, they're
But
watching.
no,
the
I'm
queue.
just like scrolling through.
Hacker man.
Yeah, we don't know how. But there's a few guys I'm like, wait, where did he come from? If I had seen him, like I would have drafted that guy.
That's how it was with.
Like
I
the
thought you
order
guys were
on
talking
these
about-
is just weird and hard to
Well,
figure
yeah,
out.
you cannot go
Sleeper
by
ADP is weird.
the.
Oh
yeah.
no, I don't go by their ADP. I'm just trying to find people. I'm glad it's a minute. Oh, and yep. Jorge, thanks. That's who I saw and was surprised. He was still there. I was going to take MVS, even though I had enough keys. So I was like, why is he still there?
Yeah, definitely. Again, somebody's gonna have to catch passes from Patrick Mahomes. So to find him this far down in the draft, yeah, he was kind of a no-brainer at that point for me.
There is still a Pro Bowl
Same
quarterback
here.
you can
That's
get
who I
here in
put
the
in.
21st round. You know, if you're searching for Pro Bowl quarterbacks, there's still one on the board.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't think that's exactly the qualifying.
Should have a Snoop Dogg drop right now.
I still can't believe that he was a Pro Bowler. That's so wild.
Well, they had to have somebody from Baltimore.
Steph,
Well,
you
they could have
have
just picked anybody else in the AFC.
I'm here to lurk Steph. Here we go.
Oh, that's
Oh, okay, had me on auto.
Hey, David! I
What's
took
going
an old
on?
guy.
David?
I took Slayton. You like Slayton? See, we're doing it.
I debated.
And I took
going-
Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
You take
So
all your
David
guys.
and his wife always come by the Fantasy and Frames booth at the Fantasy Football Expo, and we are huge fans of them too. And we can't wait to see you again this year if you guys come. Awesome time always meeting up with you.
Yeah, he told me the story of you guys actually giving his wife like a second shirt after she lost her first one.
Yeah. Apparently, the
Yeah,
time we
they're
met,
very nice.
yeah, she's great. They're both fantastic, and it's always a pleasure talking with them.
Yeah.
I do have to
There's-
take a kicker because I'm going to pretend this is a real draft,
There you go. I like pretend.
and everyone else is doing it.
You do.
I like pretend. That's
Okay.
fine.
I like pretend.
I like
So
pretend.
let's see. Who am I? I wrote down names of kickers. No. All right, we'll go with Matt Gay. I've heard of
Let's
him.
see.
Nate, ironically, this is called fantasy, so it's kind of the same.
It's all pretend.
This is the pretend for the pretend.
This is
yes.
a fantasy
Pretend
draft.
football.
It's pretend.
Well, I couldn't take Maher because he's no longer.
Yeah.
I can't believe he was the #1 scoring kicker. Okay, I've never.
Mhm.
That's gonna give me nightmares all night, guys.
Yeah.
This last round, couple kickers.
So,
Oh, there
how
you
do we
go.
know who won?
Winston, how you doing?
We
I would love for Jameis to be a starter in this format with not having to worry about
Darn it.
interceptions, man.
Yep.
He would be so much fun if he was a starter.
Black
God
legs
damn.
days.
I would love it. I don't know which team I would like him on the most. I would think that, if something were to happen to Tua and he was there in Miami, I think that would be a fun
Oh,
offense
my
to
God.
watch him.
Put him in Vegas.
In
I
Vegas.
mean, that's
Vegas
the
would be
most
not
likely. That's the scenario that I think I've
Mm.
heard the most about, as far as like if the Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lot more fun
situation.
than Jimmy G is.
Oh my God, absolutely.
The issue is he going to make it through the first Sunday that he's there? I mean, they have free crab legs all over the place.
Correct, exactly.
But that's good. He doesn't have to worry about stealing any. If they're free.
Exactly. He'll walk out of every buffet with crab legs. He'll be like, I'll take some of yours. I'll take some of yours. I'll take some of yours too.
You can't leave buffets with food, Jorge.
Well, then
that's a no-no.
He'll continue his trend of stealing crab legs then from various buffets across the strip.
Poor
Lance
Jameis.
going to go to Vegas. That would be interesting.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I've been a huge Trey Lance fan, but part of that draw for Trey Lance was the fact that Kyle Shanahan was going to be the one drawing up plays.
Hmm.
And so, like, if Lance does get traded, that excitement is gone. That piece of it's gone. So I don't know. I don't know. This is the make or break year for me and Trey Lance. I'm going to finally cut off his toxic relationship if things don't work out this year.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. I was by far the most in my whatever. How many years has it been, Jorge? 3, 4 now. We've been doing this.
We're getting on 4 or 5. Yeah, right around there.
Oh, it's anniversary. Very good chat engagement for the entire thing, which I have just, we've asked and hoped for that more so than anything else, because it's the whole reason any of us do this, honestly. As much fun as we enjoy it, I like meeting new people and chit-chatting and hearing, I like funny comments. And I promise, of your commenters, I read 100% of them. I don't listen to these idiots, but except for Stephanie. Stephanie's the 20%, since there's 5 of us. That makes sense. I don't listen to myself, but I don't.
I was going to say, you don't even listen to yourself then.
No, I don't listen to myself. You heard me talk? Ridiculous.
That is that. Yeah.
Oh, he said, Rusty said, I can never get up on Lance. He's my boy. He's a man out here for my heart. I can appreciate that so much. I need to get in touch with Rusty. I need more Lance propaganda on my Twitter timeline.
See, I listen to Rusty, and like used to be, there was a gentleman on here who would only go by Gator J, and we would
that's true
chit chat to him.
Now I'm actually on screen now.
Yeah, teach us to fucking feed the cats. We're doing it.
Wow.
We ain't putting that out for any commenters.
Jesus. Lord.
Gator catching strays. No.
God, no. I mean, there is only one thing that I could say to this, Nate.
Gator don't play no shit.
We've never been about that shit.
You feel me? Gator never been about that. Never been about playing no shit. Gator don't play no shit.
You have it on loop. Yep.
I did it on purpose.
Again.
Keep it on loop. Yeah, actually.
That needs to be on loop. Of all things, yes, that needs to be on loop.
Exactly.
And I feel like the scene of them jumping off the roof of that building, I feel like that's like me every time I hit draft on Trey Lance this year.
Aim for the bushes.
Yep.
Aim for the bushes and hit Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm. Stephanie, have you seen The Other Guys, the movie The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg and
yes, but it's been a long time.
Ferrell? Yeah, no, we made it a habit last year, basically on every show, that if you didn't have at least 5 other guys' reference drops in the show, you got like negative scores for your performance each week. So we were very diligent about that. Oh yeah, so it's mandatory watching and loving.
What about other Will Ferrell movies? Can I do Step Brother references or other things?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay.
Highly encouraged.
Okay. So as long as I can, get some Will Ferrell stuff, I'll be all right.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, we went as far as actually loving the other guys that Jorge reached out to Gator to bring him on just so he had a Gator to do those drops. Not even about his fantasy knowledge whatsoever.
Exactly.
It was only for the name.
That's why I have the background.
It's really impressive. So if there's any, let's see, Ricky Bobby's out there in the world that want to do fantasy analyst, come on in. We'll hire you on the spot.
Ricky Bobby's. Yes.
If there's any,
even if your name is just at Ricky Bobby.
Yes.
Exactly.
Nate's hiring.
Sweet
all my
baby
threes
Jesus.
are showing up. I appreciate all my 3 chat friends' support and jumping in the draft here in the chat. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you watching and rooting me on.
Absolutely.
So let's take a look at the 3 spot, because this is important for your 3s as well as for the other 3 in Carrie whenever I show this to her. And I think that I can tell you, I know she'll approve. We talked about this on the way home from dinner tonight, and she mentioned being at the 3 spot. If Mahomes and Kelsey are both there, what to do? And it's a conundrum because Steph, maybe as you know, we are big Kansas City Chiefs fans here, and that is a dilemma. I believe she will lean the same way you will. She'll use her heart as well as I say common sense. I don't know if it's common sense. I think it's sense at least to go Kelsey over Mahomes strictly for the opportunity cost and the variance between tight end 1 and tight end 2 and the benefit you gain. But you did a great job, as we said, in getting that. I'm going to say, I'll use the word elite quarterback. If it's, you give him 17 games or even 15 games, I think would be a thumbs up. You definitely have, I would say, more than enough. I'm trying to pull this up real quick. There we go. Sorry.
And I mean, the reality is we love Jalen Waddle this year. We love Tyreek Hill this year. So if all those guys are going to do great, then if so facto,
correct,
Tua's going to be great.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, the receiving core that you have built between Amon-Ra, Waddle, Mari Cooper, Nook, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed. I mean, and the list goes on and on. Obviously, the more dart throws towards the end and everything else, but you have your flex spots filled out. You have your receiver spots filled out. You waited at running back until round 9, and you still took Isaiah Pacheco. You still get Cook. You still get A-Shane. You still get Mostert. You have mixes of at least players on high-powered offenses that should support a pretty solid floor. Of your draft, who is your favorite pick?
oh my gosh, I can't really pick anybody.
Choose your
I'm
favorite
not
kid.
good at this. I'll
Choose
okay.
your favorite kid.
I'm gonna
Sophie's choice.
go Kelsey because he was the first, and I hardly take Kelsey this year, which is funny. But I
First
really
kid always
decide.
holds a special place in your heart.
There you go,
It's
Kelsey.
just I do like this draft because I'm critical of myself. Sometimes I don't like my drafts, even if I think I did everything right, things just don't fall in the way that I like them. Because I mean, like I was talking about waiting on running back, this was perfect. I had a few guys in the queue. We were joking around about Snipes in that range. Other guys I was looking at, AJ Dillon. I had possibly Madison. He had went a little bit earlier. I mean, but there's still a lot of guys there. I would have liked to get Pierce, but later guys that still could be the number 1 running back in their offense at those spots,
Yep.
They could still put up the points. And, when you're getting that much of an advantage at another position, it's okay to not,
And
you
I
can
think
go running back heavy too. You can do it both ways, but.
I think for it being super flex and not taking a quarterback in the first round and then not taking your quarterback 2 until the 7th round, I think you did a great job filling the quarterback position despite all those things. Like I like Tua in the 2nd, and then the Jordan Love, CJ Stroud back to back. I think that, for waiting as long as you did for your quarterback 2, I think filling that quarterback position, you played it well.
Gator.
But I will say to people, read the room because you can't get locked out. Like you got to kind of. There's not necessarily a hard line, but you don't want to get locked out at quarterback. Still, it is super flex.
Correct. And that's what I want to ask Gator, to not address his team, but to look at team 1. Let's look at Gregel's team, because Gregel decided to go the quarterback route instead of the Kelsey 101. And based on your team last night versus his team now. Now, I don't have a side-by-side for people watching or listeing to do a comparison.
I wish I did, because it would be.
Don't want that.
I would give Gregel's Gregel's draft compared to mine last night at the 101. Gregel's is up here. You can't even see it because it's off the screen compared to mine.
And this is not a knock on,
not an exaggeration,
Gator,
right?
But I think that it shows that a lot of the times, when you take Kelsey at that 1 spot, especially, you want to get ahead of trends and you don't want to get stuck behind tiers. You have a tendency to try to stay in the middle and not begin new ones. And that's what happened last night, I think, with you, is that you didn't want to ever take the last guy of a tier and you end up taking the middle of the pack and you never felt comfortable getting ahead. But he still, with Hurts, I think that 4 running back committee that he has with Saquon, Chubb, Ramondre, and James Conner, to me, I think is as good a running back room as anybody in this draft has. Personally, I think that that's just spectacular. I think that the one weakness, if there's one, is wide receiver. But even that, I mean, he has, McLaurin, he's got Pickens. Obviously, Steph, you and I both were a little hesitant on taking OBJ, but I think in the 11th round at the 11-12, that's not a terrible investment. That's fine. That's comfortable for where he's been going, but maybe that's just my,
No,
I mean, he needed receivers.
correct.
So I don't hate it. I probably would have skipped Connor and gone receiver there and stuck with those three. I think that was strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I can't fault. I mean, I love Chubb this year. I love Stevenson. They're two of my favorite picks in that range. So I think
And I would have traded them.
doing, those running backs makes a lot of sense there.
I would have loved to have had Connor for myself and given him Hollywood, and then he could have had Hollywood as his 2, and I could have had my 3 backs, and we both could have been happy. Greggles, if you want to do a fake mock, fake fantasy, fake draft trade, I'm all ears. So yeah,
all I got to do is click a button and it's a league. But yeah, I'm not doing that.
Nope, we're not doing that. No one wants to see.
No, I compared to mine last night, I think the overhype of, in my opinion, of Kelsey being 101 and then playing from behind on every step after that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said earlier, in my opinion, I don't know that you can go anything other than quarterback in that first pick at 101. Because if you don't take a quarterback in that first pick, you are definitely playing from behind, because the best you can get is the 13th, 14th, 15th best quarterback in the league. You're already starting off wide receiver or quarterback 2 as your QB1, if you're lucky.
Right.
So can I say something to that a little bit? In strategy in general, what we talk about a little bit when we're doing the super flex best balls, because like people that were getting the back end picks, we're at a obviously a disadvantage because the quarterbacks aren't as good. So instead of sometimes taking that quarterback there, take the best guy at another position available and build out your advantage that way. Even so Kelsey, get Kelsey Chase. I mean, get Kelsey, JT, get Kelsey CMC. Yeah, I mean, you can get some powerful starts that other people can't match and at least get a head start. And then we talk about there's still some of those quarterbacks kind of will be lumped together once you get past the elites, and take a shot on some upside guys there.
The argument against that, especially in this tournament, is going to be, I tried this last night. I took Kelsey 1-1 and I got JT at 212. That third round reversal is what hurts you, right? So if you don't get that top end quarterback in either that 1-1 or 212, you don't see another pick till 312.
Yeah, that does make it tough. You're right.
Mm-hmm. At that point, you are done in quarterback. You are definitely playing nothing but QB2s, and at that point, they're probably mid QB2s. If you don't take one in those first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think one of the common, I don't say misconceptions, but I think areas that we all find ourselves gravitating towards is that superflex has to be a quarterback. And I know that 9 times out of 10, that's the benefit. But I think the scoring format this year negates that overall a little bit more. And I know that's Scott's approach. Scott wants to make the superflex beneficial for the teams that have 2 elite quarterbacks if they can hit on rounds 7 through 10 and hit the running back that comes out of proverbial nowhere, the wide receiver that does the same. I mean, that's how you win these things. It's not because every team, if you could guarantee to start off and go Allen Mahomes and in a superflex, you would think that you automatically should have the upper hand and should win. Reality says, well, you screw up the other positions, and there's just as much. Stephanie said at the very beginning of this show, the separation of Kelsey over the next closest is about 200 points. Broken down over the 18 weeks, we're going to say is around 11 points a week. Those 11 points should be the starting line. If you have the quarterback 1 versus someone else quarterback 7, and that separation is 11. Well, now you're back to level footing. You then have the advantage by that secondary position of whatever it may be. And when speaking of secondary positions or third positions, that's where, Jorge, I want to talk about your draft, because at quarterback, I think you're obviously stacked. I think Fields and Daniel Jones in this format on the yards per carry or points per carry approach is phenomenal. You have last year's number 1 running back in Josh Jacobs in this format. You have obviously upside in Jahmyr Gibbs and Kenneth Walker with the Antonio Gibson move. Drew, boo this man. And Jarrett McKinnon. My question to you is, let's take a look at the wide receivers. Sure. Let's say this is your actual going into week 1. You have Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman. Who are you starting as your wide receiver 3? Is it KJ Osborne, Isaiah Hodgins?
It would probably be Hodgins, just for the Daniel Jones connection there. Obviously, I'm hoping to really come on strong after the 6-game suspension with Jameson Williams there. But it probably was a little bit of a reach at that point. But I just wanted to get him just before anybody else did. I didn't care about looking at ADP or value. I just wanted to get my guy there at that point. And so I'd probably roll with Hodgins just to go with the Justin Fields stack there.
Do you feel that there is a position that you could have taken less at to get that number 3 wide receiver that you're going to have to start every single week for 6 weeks while Jameson Williams is returning?
At that point in the draft, probably could have gone for Zay Flowers, or as boring as it sounds, going Juju, just because of the inherent target volume that you're going to see in New England.
Rashad Bateman in the 10th round looking real pretty.
Yeah. So
over Checka Congo. Yeah.
No, these are very good points there. Yeah. I think at this point, I just wanted to get my tight end situation figured out. I don't know. I actually don't mind Okonkwo going before Bateman.
No,
I do.
I like where you got it. I like where you got Okonkwo.
I think both these tight ends have the potential to, especially for Chig, for the limited target volume or the increased target volume, perceived target volume that you're going to get in Tennessee with the fact that they have very few receiving weapons. I think he could pay dividends there. But no, you're not wrong. I mean, Quentin Johnson is I'm actually a huge fan of Quentin Johnson and Jordan Addison. So, I could have probably held off and gone wide receiver there instead of Chig, and then get Laporta a couple rounds later like I did.
Well, and it's not a knock on the team.
No,
I'm just trying to find
it's fair point. It's fair point.
I think that we all have a tendency to do that sometimes, is, filling out the upside flex spots with those tight ends, and then realizing you have an every week start at that 3 wide receiver, because so many of these super flex leagues have 2 wide receivers and multiple flex spots. Right. This being 3 wide receivers, as much as we've downgraded some of the receiver heaviness early on just by the carry bonus points and everything else, there's still a value in making sure that you can start 3 each week. Drew, let's wrap up with a recap of your team. In your approach, where you start off, you said something a little different, and that's going with for you. It has been so far. How do you feel that it worked out as a whole? I mean, are you comfortable with every other position from Geno, Stafford, etc.?
Somewhat, yeah. I think I'm a little bit concerned about the wide receiver position, because you do have to start 3, and I like DK Metcalf, and I like Ayuk, and I like Deontay Johnson as talents, but there's a lot of unknowns with San Francisco's passing offense. Is the Kenny Pickett we saw in the second half of the season the real Kenny Pickett? Because if so, Deontay Johnson, I think, might be one of, if not the most underrated receiver in the league. But the offenses concern me a little bit. But allowed me not to have to worry about my 3rd running back until I got Zach Charbonnet in the 10th round. So I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Honestly, whenever I did running back to back there at the 1-2 turn, I thought I was going to end up just absolutely despising this draft. And I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. So might be something that I try a little bit more.
Yeah, if you listen to St. Louis drafts, that's Drew's approach. Is he's going to go running back heavy and lock up Antonio Gibson in the 6th round by the time that draft rolls around, because
Yes, that's right.
we both will be watching, and hopefully nobody else listens to this between now and our draft in second week of July there. But
We are going to personally inflate the hell out of Antonio Gibson's
Yeah.
ADP.
You don't have to worry about them listening to you tonight. You just have to worry about them listening to you over the next couple of weeks.
yeah,
This is not going to be the last FSB or FFB we do.
I
We're
know.
almost 1 month away from the live draft.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
And in fact, Nate, from what you said earlier, you're doing one tomorrow.
I don't know. I just said I got I have shoot the gap. So shoot the gap tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern, I believe, maybe 9 Eastern. No, 9:30 Eastern. Yeah,
You might need to do like 7 so we can get on time for the mock.
can't. I work until 9. Unfortunately,
I'm
tomorrow.
just giving you a hard time, Nate.
Nope. Trust me. If my bosses and them were listening, I would tell them I'm taking off early. I got shit to do. They would understand. They're all fantasy fans.
Clip it.
Oh, baby, let's
Yeah.
go.
No, and so we have shoot the gap, where we're going to discuss from the IDP side the 3 down linebackers on the AFC side of the ball this year, where we bring back good friend of the Frames family, Mike Wohlert from 4 Fantasy, joining Jorge and Hollywood and I. After that, maybe just maybe we'll do a mocking After Dark. Don't know. I will leave that up to you guys, and if you say you want to do it, I'm never going to say no, because then I will jump back into the 4 spot and see if I can.
Can you listen? I will set one up tomorrow if we can get Carry on.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Our PR representative at the Fantasy
Yeah.
Football Expo.
I mean,
I like his. I like Nate's response right now. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if she'll want to go for that. I think she'll be stressed out. I don't think she's
Okay, well, let's put it this way: not necessarily on camera,
okay. Her
Like,
drafting.
but in
Yes.
the draft.
Yeah, I think that we can
Okay.
do. And no, not Carry on Johnson scampers. Although my wife Carrie does have nearly as many rushing yards as Carry on Johnson had. It is sorry, Carry on Johnson. Super fans in Detroit. You'll get over it. Yeah, but if that's the case, then I want Steph, if she's able to join, to take either the 2 or the 4, so then she can snipe. But obviously, no demands. We will wait till tomorrow to see who can all make it and who wants to.
Okay, I was gonna say, if you're gonna take the full,
As long as it's late.
It'll be late. It'll be
It'll be late. Yeah.
10:30 Eastern.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 9 my time. I have to do the math.
well,
I'm central.
Okay, I'm Central too.
God,
Yeah,
God's
so yeah,
country.
here's
we'll
what
stay ours. Yeah, we're anti-Eastern time zone stuff.
Nate earlier.
We're out in Gator.
I told Stacy that Stacy and Stephanie that we're doing this at 9:30, and Stephanie's like, oh, 8:30 my time. I said, well, if Nate was here, he would say 8:30 God's time.
If Drew was here, Drew
Yeah,
says God's
that is
time.
me. Yeah.
That's on God.
I'm not quite as
Oh God, no cap.
All right, let's get out.
busted. Gregor says he wants the 3. I will. If I can convince.
If the wife is coming, you cannot have the 3, Gregos. It is Carrie's.
I don't know. Well,
And 3 is
Not
my
my say.
real spot. That's why I wanted it. But I,
Mhm.
you know what? I have no problem moving a little bit and seeing if I can snipe and mess up the 3 spot.
that's
There you go.
what
That's
that's
the
what I
spirit.
wanted to
I
do.
wouldn't
It
do
too.
that. I
spirit.
wouldn't do that.
Hey,
Well,
that's why we do
no, I
this.
don't
We'll
mind
have
drafting
plenty of these
somewhere
going
else. That's fine.
forward. So if obviously follow along over at Twitter, either through the Fantasy and Frames at Fantasy and Frames site. You can follow us all along to hear it. I'm sure any one of us will probably mention that. You can follow Stephanie at Steph Miller 57. Oh, Gators at Fantasy J77. Jorge's at Jorge B Edwards. B stands for baller. And Drew's at Drew 3MR. And I am at Nate Markham. So please, keep subscribing, liking, following. That what I'm supposed to say for YouTube stuff.
Yes.
Perfect. Excellent. Do all that stuff. And I promise I'll pay attention to more than 20% of you going forward. Have a good evening.
You have a great night.